Hello and welcome back for another Let's Break It Down. This time I thought I would make another small break it down video of this house that I made, mostly because it's very different from the style that I'm usually doing. I tend to lean more towards like a modern, cutesy style, and this time I got requested to make something a bit more immersive and like witchy would like. And so because of that, I use a lot different techniques than what I would normally do. And so I thought maybe it would be useful to some of you guys who are interested in this kind of style if I made a quick just break it down where I walk through the type of techniques and items that I used. If you find this useful, please comment, subscribe, all those things. I really appreciate it. But yeah, let's start. So first off, I made this door using a Oasis cupboard as the back. It's the main part here. Then these little details that I added to the door are from the Oasis canopy bed. I will show you because I can grab it from the basement actually, what it looks like. It looks like this. And I only use like the very outer part of it just so that you can get that nice extra detail kind of this arc structure that I was kind of inspired by, a bit like a hobbit hole or something like that. Then on the sides I have some disordered wardrobes here that I dyed black to kind of give it make it more like clear, I suppose. Then around it I put some plants, mostly to cover up. You can see there's some parts of the canopy bed there right at the back that has these blue gem parts on it. I kind of wanted to try and cover that up a bit, so I put some plants in front of it. I think you can cover this up much more elegantly than I did, but that was just my solution to it. On the top here, to create this arc, we have some staggered shelves that look like this. I only use 2, you don't need to use more because they're pretty wide. I made this planter. This is nothing that I've seen before, but I thought, well, it would be very cute to just make a small planter. You could grow things inside and stuff like that. Doesn't have any actual function other than looking cute. I suppose you could probably place planting pots inside of it and maybe that would work, but it's mostly just for aesthetic. So here I put in the potted spider plant, and what you see is the log part is made out of the log partition or something like that, and then what's made up of the soil is 2 times white rectangular partitions, and then they're dyed in like a really dark brown. And then they're floated from the basement. So if you go to the basement, I'll just show you again. It should look a bit like this. And then you can see the partitions here. Over here, I made a open fireplace. I had initially had a different idea for this, where I made more of like a stub. Similar to the one I used in the previous build, I believe I made a break it down of, but I felt like because I wanted to take more of the witchy kind of route to this, the open hearth just felt more natural, as like cooking a little potion or maybe a soup inside it, and I liked the fire effect, so I decided to go for that instead. Then the stone part of the fireplace is made using the indoor oriental waterfall, and I tried to hide the water part into the wall behind these square windows here, and then framed it in using the white rectangular partitions on each side. You have another of these waterfalls here at the top. A little bit hard to grab, but it's just 1, and then it's 1, 2, 3, so I think 4 in total on just this part. So it's pretty slot efficient, I would say. I added some shelves on top too, and some candles, so when there's not light coming in through the windows, it still feels pretty nice and light and cozy. I added some pillows, some decorations, plants. I put this little chair here. It's the Riviera armchair with the matching cushions on top. Then I made this little table next to it. I had a few other options for using a table. I was at first using the Crystarium stuff, but I felt like that took a bit too much space and it looked a little bit too modern for me. So I made it using this, it's like a eaten up name day cake, and then it's a dancing pole, and the bottom is a glade stool. These books you can also place down. It's a stack of tomes, but they are like floated from the basement up so that you don't get the entirety of the books, which I think is nicer because if you just put this, they take up so much space. I just like to have a few books, but not all the books, and I think it's the exact same technique that I used over here, so you can see it's actually a lot more books than what is shown. But I think that just works nicely. Over here I have another one of these planters, and I made a small kitchen. I wanted it to feel like the water that was coming into this house was like straight out of a like spring, like a mountain spring or something like that. So once again I used the Indo-Oriental waterfall, and then I put a tap, which is made of the arm and screen, into the rock. Then I have put this little, this is the mahogany aqueduct, and it has this nice water effect to it. Because I didn't want to put any pipes in it, normally I would put some kind of pipe underneath the sink just to make it seem extra realistic. I felt like that didn't go with the vibe, so I put this little like curtain here, which is the Churgan's curtain, also floated from below up, just to kind of cover up the bottom. I felt like it was a nice solution to the issue I was having. These countertops, the top of it, it's a little bit hard for me to grab, but it is the Hingham bookshelf. And then the details on them are the ice boxes. You can make the icebox cover more or less if you want to. I kind of decided to make them only, the only part of the icebox that was visible would be the actual drawers. But you can make like, you know, countertops using only these if you want. I just kind of wanted like a two-tone kind of style to it. Then I made this rug here. It is the wool rug, which I'm a huge fan of this item. I will use it in every single build. But it felt, once again, slightly boring to just use a white rug. So instead I used this trick where you can trim them in using white rectangular partitions, and you float them into the, or from the basement into the top floor. And if you just place them right underneath, you can see that you get this nice rounded effect, but you still get a little bit of like a color pop that you can add to your house. That gives it a little bit of an extra dimension, I think. I should also mention that all these windows are the imitation square window, and then you have the glade cupboard on top placed into them, so you get this nice arc. It is the same thing over here. And then on the top I framed this fireplace in. I should have mentioned that before, but I forgot to. It is the Oasis cupboard. And the bottom here are cheese collections. Cheese collections are really quite versatile items, I think, especially for builds like this, so it's really good to use. Over here I was really inspired by a shelving style that I've seen Morgan do in some of his builds. And it's the wooden showcase, and then you frame it in on the sides using the wood slat partitions. I think it's such a like a simple thing to do, but it's just so nice and sleek, and I think it's really good. So credit to Morgan for that. I think it's just it's so neat. To be honest, I really like it. I put a little window up here and some stones poking through the window. You could definitely question how realistic that is, but it's just because I really wanted to add the stones to the texture of the wall, so that you get the feeling that this build is right into nature, and it's built around like almost like a quarry or something like that in the woods. So yeah, I just placed that in there. I have a lot of these, I think is white, like blank Riviera partitions that just have these, what are they called? I think they're called country walls applied to them. So you get this cool stone texture to them that feels very rustic, I suppose. Once again, I used the same rug trick here and framed it in with these red dyed white rectangular partitions. And I put this country dining set. As you can see, the country dining set is quite a lot larger than what I make it appear to be. And so because of that, the legs are cut off into the wall. So in order to kind of make this seem a little bit more realistic, you can see that I placed 2 of the wooden slats to imitate 2 legs for them. Just so that it looks, you know, a tiny bit more realistic, I suppose. Over here I have this workbench that has been also floated from the floor below, so it's only using the top. I added some nice flowers and vases, some paintings, a little bit of light here and there. I tried to spread it out kind of evenly, so even when it's dark, this should be even light throughout the build. I also built this skylight. As you can see up here, the actual lamp is poking through, so this should be a good amount of light in this build at all times, I believe. I added a bunch of these, like the wall planners and the hanging herbs, and then I added 2 of the pendant wall lights that I had left over from building something previously in this house. Thank you as always for watching. If you have any questions or if I missed something, please just ask in the comments below and I'll try to answer as soon as I can. I hope you guys find these videos somewhat useful or maybe inspiring. That is ultimately my goal with this. If you want to continue to support me, I have a Ko-fi link below where you can donate to me. It's only like €5 or something, maybe less, I don't remember, but I really appreciate every single cent that I can get to help towards making these videos and allocating time for doing them. But as always, thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. Goodbye!